And now it's time for another one of my lovely videos on YouTube. My cat! I'm going to grab a finish of you! Get that and that! Now, so, hey guys, it is me, Samara Brewer here, giving you another rant video. I know I haven't done one in a while. And basically, this is like, sort of like a follow-up thing on what I done in my last blog entry, where I was talking about, like, the general election. Basically, still a lot of people are peeved off with the fact that I don't know, say, Theresa May doesn't really seem to actually care that nurses in the NHS are so thingy for pay that they're basically having to resort to going to food banks and get completely and utterly humiliated. And everyone knows the reason why people like nurses and everyone else get humiliated whilst going to food banks is because the politicians go, they're going to food banks. They're just going there because they want free food. They don't really want to go to the shops and buy it themselves. They love a freebie. Honestly. Pretty much for the Tories. They are pretty much, in terms of their leader, you could say there's confident, there's overconfident, and then there's Trump overconfident. And for Theresa May, I'd say that because of these polls, which still saying that pretty much is going to win, pretty well, I think I might get distracted by all the pretty cool violence, because it's like pretty cool. Doors and in the circle. Then again, I think if they were, or even the polls would wind up leaving scientific geniuses like Fleming and Donnie from Ninja Turtles scratching their heads in confusion. Primarily because it seems like regardless on what Theresa May says or does, the polls still say she's going to win. And I think that's making her Trump overconfident. And as we all know, over pretty much. And I start saying pretty much. Thing is, basically, for Trump, as we all know, he ended up being so confident. He ended up saying on live TV, as we all remember, that he would, and I quote, or rather he could, I don't know. So, basically, he said he could go and, and I quote, shoot someone in the middle of Park Avenue, and I wouldn't lose any voters. Basically, he said that, well, he was so overconfident, he said that he could literally kill somebody in broad daylight in front of dozens and dozens of people, and that nobody would go and withdraw their support from him. And I'd say for Theresa May, she is basically being Trump overconfident. Not to the point where, like Trump, she'd say that she could kill somebody in broad daylight, and the voters would be so stupid they wouldn't, like, no longer support her. She hasn't said that yet. Yet the thing is, the fact that she pretty much is singing for the NHS, it's almost like a garden of roses, is, yet, newsflash, it isn't, as basically the NHS is pretty much getting flushed down the toilet. We're getting treated like a burning bridge. And instead of Theresa May getting the fire extinguisher to put the fire, which is the sheer, complete and utter problems, which is facing the NHS today, and not getting rid of those problems, instead of her getting the fire extinguisher and sorting out that fire, he is going and pouring gasoline onto the bridge. And by that term, what I really mean is that instead of her helping out the problems, like fixing them and stuff, she's making them worse by doing things like taking away more money, making the staff members work longer hours on like a 1% pay cap, even forcing junior doctors to go to work when their place of work isn't even open. Sure. And the thing is, of all the Tories ended up saying that the flipping NHS ended up needing to be a 7-day NHS. But there's just one thing which the Tories either failed to notice or completely and utterly ignored. And that is that there already was a 7-day NHS. And I think pretty much, actually I could be speaking for everyone, but I don't know, I have a different opinion, but with the Tories and Theresa May trying to make a 7-day NHS, what they're actually doing is, well, making somewhat of a 0-day NHS. And it will be a 0-day NHS because they'll have they'll have no money to keep the places open, no junior doctors because they've all said fuck it and quit it due to the Fleming politicians in suits wanting them to go to work, whether their workplace is open or not, and being given lousy pay, and with the nurses all saying screw you to Theresa May and going and leaving the NHS for good. Pretty much would be no nurses, no junior doctors, no money. Pretty much the NHS would have probably a couple of their hospitals having to close because as they probably wouldn't be able to afford running all those like hospitals and stuff. They wouldn't be able to afford it more than likely. So, lack of hospitals, lack of cheaper doctors, lack of nurses, and lack of money would all conspire into somewhat of a gigantic cocktail of, well, oh yeah, that's right. It would go into a cocktail of catastrophe. It wouldn't be a disaster. Things like the Titanic was a disaster, or the eruption of Suez in 79 AD. That was a disaster. Even the Boxing Day tsunami of 2004. That was a disaster. With which Ori's create, he's inadvertently making a 0-day NHS in trying to make a 7-day NHS. Pretty much will get seen as somewhat of a catastrophe. Honestly, I think that if you do still vote Tory, then pretty much you completely and utterly ignore the problems that face the NHS, and you don't really seem to actually care about it. Because you would probably believe every single what the Tories say if you still support them, and thinking that the horrible, nasty Labour Party is in a coalition with the rotten Lib Dems, especially after they went and turned their back on their pledge of not going and increasing in university tuition fees, along with the horrible Plaid Cymru and the Scottish nationalists who want to force Wales and Scotland into having a referendum on independence and break up the United Kingdom. I mean, seriously. If you still believe that, I'd say that you are pretty much a cake short of an afternoon tea. You're like a cream cake short of an afternoon tea. In other words, you're crazy! I mean, seriously, what made David Cameron get away with his flaming bloody lie on a Labour coalition with the SNP was because he only had one political party with his made-up opposition coalition thing. And that, as we all know, back in 2015, it was the SNP. As for Theresa May, for her, she has added at least 3 political parties. Still counting if she winds up continuing to be in Trump overconfident. Anyways, I don't trust the polls with them saying that Theresa May will still continue to win. I mean, seriously. I think the last time opinion polls had been proven right was when it came to the Fleming pre-Brexit Scottish independence referendum in 2014. Because back then, the polls said Scotland would stay in the UK, and Scotland did stay in the UK. Brexit, the polls got wrong. President Trump, the polls got wrong. And pretty much Theresa May still continues to be Trump overconfident, then they'll get it wrong with her as well. I mean, heck, the whole reason why I think Theresa May went and done this whole early general election thing was purely because of a power grab. Fortunately, even in Scotland, the Tories aren't winning. Besides, the Tories in Scotland, they basically went, vote for us if you don't want Scottish independence. And even people like my dad, who are fiercely fiercely anti-independence for Scotland. I'm buying what the Tories are trying to sell. So pretty much the Tories are doomed. They're doomed. Ugh, I think I'm gonna make myself a sandwich. So, like, share, subscribe, and see ya.
We don't need to leave the UK to be Scottish.
My cat!